Hey family, my name is Luke and I'm here with Eric Freedom and Kara. I'm the head coach here at Reason Fitness. Eric is the founder of our gym and Kara is one of our coaches on staff. And together we have about 27 plus years of experience in coaching fitness, nutrition, and wellness. And our mission here is to help develop happier and healthier people in the San Gabriel Valley and greater LA area. And today we're talking about the 5 factors of health. And we're currently in a new series called 10 Minute Tuesdays, where we talk about one of the 5 pillars of health. Today, we are going to be talking about binging to planning, how to be successful for someone that struggles with binging and how to prepare for it. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up? Good to see y'all again.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too.
Let's get right into it. So, I feel like, this is actually a very heavy topic that I feel like, I don't think we've made light of it, but this is probably something that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Maybe, and there's maybe people that do it, are actively binge eating right now and don't realize how detrimental it is for them.
While you're listening to this podcast.
While they're listening, eating some potato chips. But Kara, we've talked about your journey and where, from going from binging to the person that you are today. And, just honestly, I wanted to ask, is that something that you struggle with today?
I think that I can tend to fall into the mindset maybe every couple of months where I want to. And there are a couple of cases where it might happen, not even close to the extent that it used to happen. But I think that I've become really aware of how I feel before I want to binge. And it typically comes up whenever I'm having like maybe a bad body image day, or I'm just feeling really, really stressed. With like in my personal life or at work or something like that. But I have really become more aware of when I'm going to feel that way and how to take action on it.
That's really good.
That's good.
As you say that, it kind of reminds me of my own journey where I didn't really realize this until I was working with my coach Guido for the past 7 or 8 months. And I've probably, this is like the least amount of binge eating I've done in a long time, but I realized that much of my bad eating in the last few years has been tied to my back. And I started
coping with back pain.
Yeah.
Coping with back pain
Yeah.
and coping with the frustration of not being able to train or express myself as I like to in my fitness because of my back.
That's real.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much of a role that had played into the formation of like my identity.
Yeah.
And just everything around it.
Yeah.
And then especially when it comes to food. And I realized this year, as I've been focusing tremendously on getting my back better, I noticed a lot less bad eating episodes because my back has not locked up. Right. So it's just crazy how food is so tied to everything.
Yeah.
And not that I still do kind of like you, but it's just the frequency is like way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kara, you are someone that I think we would describe as has gone through a season of probably being stuck and then learning and then now winning in many different ways and still learning at the same time. How has your approach, like what is your approach to meal planning or preparing your food, buying your food, and what tips would you have for making it easier and more enjoyable for someone?
Yeah, I think that I preach this all the time to the people that I work with because I found that it has worked really well for me. It's not going to work well for everyone, but I think that planning at the start of your week, whether the start of your week might be like Tuesday night, Sunday night, Monday night, whenever you have time, going to the grocery store and getting everything that you need for the week or at least for the next couple of days is so key. Like whether you have to put it into your calendar and make 30 minutes to go to the grocery store, I think that planning out your foods is going to be so important. And that's what helped me to know that I don't need to binge at the end of this week because I have purchased and cooked enough food to get me through the week for any time that I might start feeling like I have a slump. I think that with also preparing your food, it comes down to just finding the food that you enjoy, right? So if you're not enjoying what you're eating, you're not going to want to eat it. So I think a good thing to think about is like, if chicken breast and plain white rice does not taste good to you, then don't eat that.
Yeah.
Find chicken thigh, beef, something that you like that you're going to look forward to eating. Maybe you do eat chicken breast and rice, but like, is there a sauce that you can get to put on it?
Yeah.
I think that when you're eating foods that you look at as like, that's really healthy, I don't like how it tastes, then you're not going to want to eat it, or you will eat it. And then you're just going to search for whatever the cravings are that you have, like over the weekend or at nighttime.
And I think that's a good point too, is like, I think when people think about the idea of eating healthy, like they automatically categorize healthy with chicken breast, healthy with lettuce, right? Like they'll immediately think that. And then what they'll do is they'll say, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll almost like defeat themselves before they even give themselves a chance to try, right? Like they don't even get a chance to try. And so I think like figuring out to like, what are you associating like these things with? What are you associating like these words with of like healthy, like nutrition? Like what are you associating that with? I think is a huge part of literally what you just said.
Yeah. Totally.
Something that just came to mind was this idea that you kind of start where you start, right? Like what you just said was you don't have, and so to be fair, chicken breast, white rice, and whatever seasoning you like to use are great. Are like from a macronutrient perspective, it is great for you, right? But I think about it's kind of like, well, you know what? I look at that as like the most extreme version of what people think is healthy, kind of like what people think of the most extreme version of what exercise is like.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, but for the average person, if you have not exercised all your life, like we have moms at the gym have for the first time in their life, they're giving themselves a chance to take care of themselves, and they're over 40 years old.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you were doing nothing for 20 plus years of your adult life. So right now, if you just come and twice a week and just get yourself through it, it's already more.
It's 200% more than what you're already doing.
It's already an improvement, right? So that would kind of be like the analogy to like just maybe try chicken breast or trying chicken thigh instead of chicken breast, or getting yourself to just eat more sorry vegans, but getting yourself to eat more protein or animal because you right now most of your meals are comprised of pasta and like that Olive Garden situation where it's like pasta and let me give you 2 pieces of chicken that are like the size of my pinky, and that's supposed to be like a really complete balanced meal, but it's not. And maybe reversing that and having that same pasta dish with more protein and a little bit less pasta, right?
I think what comes with that too for anyone that is starting their journey also is just like education. Do you even know what protein is? Right? Do you know what a carbohydrate is and what when you're shopping at the store, are you choosing a carbohydrate? I think that people tend to think like, I'm not eating carbs, but they're eating fruits. And I'm like, fruit is a carb. It's like are you educating yourself on what these different things actually are to make sure that you are putting together like a balanced plate as you're eating throughout the day?
It goes back to that association, right? Of like, well, carbohydrate means bad. Does it? I feel like I grew up, like the way that I grew up is like my parents literally were not my parents, because I was mostly raised by my mom. I was mostly home. When I was mostly home, my grandparents would raise me, and they would literally say like, it would feel like more food equals more fat is what it felt like. It's like less food equals less fat is what it felt like, That's not the reality because I'm eating a lot of calories right now. And so I think like, identifying again the association words of like carbohydrates, like what does carbohydrate mean to me on an emotional standpoint? What does protein mean to me on an emotional standpoint, right? And going from there.
If we could just peel back the curtain, what does a rolling 7 days of your eating look like right now?
Yeah. So
what's your planning day? Because you said some people starts on it. It doesn't matter what day it starts, but you have a planning day. So when does that start for you?
Yeah. So at this point, I know what food I like, and so I can pretty much just go to the grocery store and know exactly what to grab. But I think that I used to use like Saturday or Sunday as a day to figure out like what do I want to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner this coming week. And so I would go to the grocery store and Sunday night would cook up like most of my food and just keep it in Tupperware. I don't put together like my meals right then and have like, okay, this much rice, this much chicken. I'm going to eat this every day for lunch. I just mass cook everything. Okay. And that way I have like variety. Like if you have like potatoes, rice, whatever, you can just throw it in that night, depending on what you want for the next day.
Yeah.
And when you mass cook, are you mass cooking for 2 days, 4 days, 7?
Yeah, for me, typically it works for like 3 to 4 days. So I always know that there is going to be one weeknight where I need to set aside a little bit of extra time. And I know my schedule ahead of time for the most part. So I can say, okay, I'm done a little bit earlier on Wednesday, for example, so I can go home and have the time to cook.
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't work for some people. And in the past, when my schedule looked a little different, I would just double cook my dinner at nighttime. So I would just cook extra ground beef. I would eat half of it for dinner and I would pack up the rest for lunch the next day. Because that's just what worked for me. But yeah, right now, like mass cooking everything is most helpful. So I know in the morning I'm going to get up, I'll have like a bagel and eggs. And then for lunch, I'm going to have like rice, a protein, a vegetable. For dinner, I have something very similar. I'm in a process of counting macros right now. So it is like an interesting space because I'm eating more for performance rather than like longevity, basically. Because I have like, 2-hour training sessions that I might be doing a lot of like more cardio, for example. So I'm sweating a lot more. I might actually eat like candy in the middle of that session. Now I wouldn't recommend that for everyone, but that's what works right now for like the style of training that I'm doing. So yeah, I can share though I'm eating 2,700 calories every day. Like I am eating a lot of food.
It's a lot of calories.
And so I think that
right now.
and I think Luke brought this up in one of the other episodes about like I'm eating 2,700 calories, but I weigh the exact same as I did when I started CrossFit. It's just that when I do an in-body scan, my body fat and my muscle mass are completely different now.
Oh, so you went from a C curve to a D curve?
Yes, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
If anyone that has done an in-body, I can show you my old ones from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Complete C of having higher body fat and then lower muscle mass. And now I've actually completely flipped that. And it was because I literally just started eating more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What would you say to people who are afraid of gaining too much muscle mass by eating more?
Yeah, I think this conversation comes up all the time, especially in like the female clients that I work with. It's like, I don't want to get bulky. Yeah. I don't want to look like these girls that compete in CrossFit or do bodybuilding. Yeah. And what I share with most people is like, okay, great. That won't happen unless you decide to start training like 8 hours a day and eating like 3,000 calories, 3,200 calories, as long as you are eating the recommended calories that either your coach gives you or someone gives you that is supporting you in what your goals are, and you're coming to the gym, 3 times a week, 2 times a week even, you're going to see a shift in your body fat and your muscle mass. And it's just going to basically, that word tone that a lot of people use. Yeah. You're going to tone up. You're not going to get super bulky and fit unless you really up your training and calories.
Yeah. Love it.
Last question. What advice would you give to maybe the version of you that you were 5 years ago, the young you at 20 years old, going through what you're going through, or someone that's maybe starting new in their journey? What advice would you give them to someone that's just starting off, and particularly when it comes to the nutrition?
I would say, making a change in nutrition is extremely scary, especially when you feel like you might be in like the darkest time of like not having control over your food. But as long as you take it one day at a time and you find the support you need, like you will get through it. Like there is light at the end of the tunnel, even though right now it might feel like there isn't any.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll wrap it there. That's our 10-minute Tuesday. We'll see you guys next time.
And real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, we're in the middle of a multi-series conversation on the topic of nutrition involving Coach Kara and her experiences. If you'd like a free 7-day PDF on a free meal plan, just reach out to us at Reason Fit on Instagram.
We'll see you guys next time.